all-wheel drive, temperature too hot, only front wheels may be powered. Oh, that's not good. Yeah. That's like a hard hit to the point where it's actually not closing the door. So that is a fail on the door slam test.
G'day, I'm Paul. We have assembled almost every single car in this segment, including some electric cars, to do a mega medium SUV off-road test, a bit of light off-roading, and we are going to crown a winner by the end of this video. This is the new Subaru Forester, and today I want to figure out whether the Forester is still the king off-road. We did one of these a little while back, and this was the best medium SUV for off-road driving. So I'm going to run you through the test, and we're going to kick things off.
Okay, so this will be our first test. It is to figure out whether the body is structurally rigid, and that is going to involve opening and closing the door. So at this point here, we have two wheels unloaded. If the door can open and close, it tells us that it's got rigid chassis and that it's going to be strong enough to withstand some light off-roading.
Now our second test, this is where stuff gets interesting. So we've got a set of rollers built into the road here, and while pretty much every vehicle on the market will be able to get up this side here with only one side of the vehicle on rollers, we're going to make things a little difficult. We're going to have three sets of tyres on rollers. And to start off with, we're going to allow the vehicle to have one front wheel on pavement to see it pull itself up. But where they're really going to struggle is where the rear wheel is on pavement and we have three other tyres on these rollers, because it will really separate those front wheel drive bias vehicles with the ones that can properly manage torque on the rear axle. Now our final test, this is where things get a little interesting. This is a 40% grade. I'm going to be putting the tyres through this channel here and that channel there. I'm going to try and make it to the top. Now some of them are going to make it all the way up, some probably won't even make it up this far. It'll really set apart the vehicles with good traction control, good all-wheel drive systems, and those that just rely on electronics, because it is quite difficult to get up here.
Now let's talk about the contenders. We've got 16 cars in total. Up on the screen you can see all the cars that we selected for this test. These are basically all the cars that are on sale in Australia in the medium SUV segment. We did put a price cap on it and just left all the luxury stuff out. We might do that as a separate test down the track. Then you'll also see cars that we weren't able to get. It was either manufacturers that didn't want to be involved, didn't respond to our emails, or didn't have a car available. All of the cars you see are all-wheel drive variants, and we allowed the manufacturer to pick the spec that they gave us, with the criteria being that this would be an off-road test. Now, this isn't a comparison of cars against each other. It is really just a benchmarking test to see which cars in controlled environments can pass our tests. Now, each of the tests is either a pass or a fail, with 5 points available for each test. The exception is our hill climb, where you get 5 points for making it to the first cone and an additional point for each cone you make all the way to the top, for a maximum available 24 points. Okay, so just for this first car, I'm going to run through these tests and what we're aiming to achieve here. So obviously with something like this, you want to see how strong the body is on the car that they've engineered. So we've set up this tiny little mogul here just to basically unload the front right and the rear left wheel, just so we can see how much rigidity there is in this body. So that's around that spot just there. So let's see how that feels. There we go, no dramas at all. So that opens and closes without any issues. So that is a pass here for the Kia EV5. Okay, now rollers. This one is tricky. In theory, an electric car, because you have instant torque and they have the ability to infinitely control electronically each axle, electric cars should do really well here, but the biggest complication is going to be if you don't have the ability to control torque on a single axle at the rear, then it's going to be its undoing. So I'm going to roll on first with just the front right-hand tyre having traction, and we'll see how this goes. And I'll basically also just try and get us through a couple of these drive modes. So this one doesn't have any off-road modes. It is just in its normal mode. For this test in particular, I'll try a couple of different drive modes to see how he goes. So, all right, here it goes. I'm going to roll onto the throttle now. I mean, this is struggling even with the front wheel having traction. That is struggling big time. All right, we'll give that one more shot. In theory, with one front tyre having traction, this should easily get up there, but work our way up. Okay, so there we go, front tyre has traction there. I'm going to roll onto the throttle again. Okay, there we go, I think it's hooked up now. Okay, there we go. All right, that worked. Okay, go back and give that one more shot. This time, the hard part of the test, which is the rear tyre without traction. So with the rear tyre not having traction, this is where something like a rear diff lock works well, because it's able to split torque evenly over that rear axle, and that gives you the drive you need up the hill. This is going to be tricky in terms of getting this to line up. So, all right, there we go. So both fronts without traction, rear left without traction. I'm going to roll onto the throttle now. Struggling there. All right, I'm going to roll back and just try a different drive mode here. Now, I'm going to try sport mode here, see if that makes any difference. So it actually did get itself up to the point where it almost reached, and then it just started sort of falling apart there. So give that one more crack now and just see how we go. Okay, so front wheel is onto the roller, and then we will roll onto the throttle. Yeah, so that's not getting us anywhere. So it's just flaring up the wheels just way too fast in sport mode. So last mode I can try here is snow mode. So I'll give that a shot, see how that performs. So front onto there, come up to a stop. Okay, here we go, rolling onto the throttle. It's catching on the concrete on the other side. So, all right, so it's a pass for front wheels and a fail for rear wheels here for Kia EV5. All right, let's get over to the gradient. This is the bit that I'm excited about. Now, it's going to be tricky. So 40% gradient, it's around 20 degrees, so fairly steep. We're going to be using the right-hand side channel, and the car's going to struggle for traction. I'm going to go up with constant throttle to keep it equal for each of those cars. So at around 10 k's an hour is what I'll approach the hill with, and then just stay constant throttle and start adding throttle as I go. We'll try each of the main drive modes just to see how it sort of how it gets about. Should also call out as well tyres. So obviously all of these vehicles are on different tyres. We're not using a control tyre because that would really then become a tyre test. I want to see what these are like straight out of the factory as you would take them to a light off-road course like this. If you are going to do some serious off-roading, you're going to change your tyres and it's going to change everything. We want to test these, how they are as they come from the factory. So we'll start off here in normal mode first. We'll see how we go. All right, made it just to the first one there, excellent. All right, I'm starting to add a bit more throttle here. It's now just flaring up those wheels. Traction control is killing all the fun here. All right, I'm going to stop there. We're going to go back down and just try a different drive mode here. Now let's try snow mode, see if that helps at all. There's about 10 k's an hour. Okay, gradually applying throttle here. Okay, snow mode it's actually not too bad. It's sort of letting us progress a little bit here. All right, struggling now. It doesn't feel like we've made it any further than last time. No, just minor rotations of the wheel, but we're not actually getting anywhere. All right, last mode we're going to try is sport mode, comically, so we'll see how that fares. Okay, here we go, sport mode. Yeah, this feels like it's just flaring up the wheels a whole lot more. That's now pinned to the board. Yeah, no success there. All right, and the very last thing I'll try here is just turning traction control off, just to see whether it is just a dodgy traction control system that is stopping us from getting anywhere. So here we go. Oh, come on, that's pinned to the board. No, that's just flaring up the wheels. So no bingo. So basically we only just sort of made it to that second cone. We'll review the footage and see whether it deserves the points there, but I don't know, not really much of an off-roader here, and with sort of fairly limited ground clearance as well. Yeah, this isn't a car I'd be heading to do any light off-roading in. So let's jump into the next car and see how we go. On to CRV time. This actually has pretty reasonable ground clearance. Let's see how rigid the body is here. Get that wheel up. Okey-dokey. We can even get it over this tiny little hump. Sorry, I gotta yank it over there. All right, there it is there. So, cool. Rigidity is good. Let's head over to our rollers. Now with the rollers, this has no drive modes. We've really only got like D and then S. It has a continuously variable transmission. So it'll be interesting to see how this copes, but it does have a driveline that runs from the engine down to the rear wheels. So that should help it in this scenario. We will see how we go. So front wheel drive test first. Line it all up. Bring the front wheels over the roller. Perfect. Okay, here we go. Oh no, can't even get us movement with the front wheels over there. That's not good. I'm going to try that in S mode as well. Okay, there we go. Pop that into S. We'll see if it makes any difference at all. Quite generous on the throttle as well. Okay, that's helping. Okay, that made the difference that we needed. So we'll go back now and we'll see how we go with just a rear wheel controlling things. I don't know how much luck we're gonna have. See what happens. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it in S mode for this. Get that rear wheel lined up so it's not on the rollers. Okie dokie. Hard on the brake and then we'll get on the throttle. No, just no success there at all. You can see that it's not sending anywhere near enough drive to that rear axle for it to achieve anything. I'll try turning traction control off here as well. No bingo, and all-wheel drive temperature too hot, only front wheels may be powered. So it's pretty much a fail for that second test. Only really just passed on the first one as well. So yeah, a little bit disappointing there. Just to kick off with, I'll leave it in drive and then I'll try going to S mode, which seemed to work better on the rollers. Wow, only just made it past that first cone. And it's the issue with these CVTs, they're kind of useless for any sort of off-road driving like this because they just sit there flaring up throttle. So I'll go over to S mode here. We'll see if that makes any difference. Okay, constant throttle. It's helping a little bit. Okay, I'm now flat to the board. Absolutely nothing happening. What else can we try here? It does have paddle shifters. I'll try and manually lock in first gear just to see if we have revs slightly higher, whether it helps it get out of this situation. Okay, so that should keep it more in its boost range. Okay, it's actually spinning the wheels now, which is further than we progressed before. But we're not getting anywhere. All right, one last thing I'm going to try here is traction control off, just to see if that makes any difference at all. Okay, there we go, traction reduced. Go first gear again. All right. That is now pinned to the board. Trying to add a bit of lock. Absolutely donuts. Okay, so conclusively, I would not be using a Honda CR-V for any off-road driving because, yeah, it can't even get up, like, even the basics of this hill. So, yeah, pretty disappointing there, but kind of to be expected. CVT, not really conducive to any of this type of driving. Tucson next. This is a hybrid drivetrain, so it's going to switch between running in electric and the engine sort of on. This also has some terrain modes as well, so we'll see how that goes in a sec, but first up we'll see what our door slam test looks like. Bring this up here. Okay, so around there somewhere. Okie dokie. Nice, very strong, no dramas there at all. So let's head over to the rollers. This hybrid is configured with a driveline that runs down the center. So let's see how it all goes. I've got it in eco mode. Just, yeah, eco mode just to start with. We'll do our front wheel drive test up the top here. Okay, it's about there. Okie dokie, here we go, rolling onto the throttle. Nice, I can feel that immediately giving us the torque that we need. And then we're heading straight up the hill. Fantastic, that was really impressive. Okay, so front wheel drive mode in eco. No dramas at all. So go back, give it a shot now for rear wheel drive. Okay, rear wheel drive test. This one is actually really difficult to do. So without a rear diff lock, it is quite hard to achieve. Like my foot is flat on the brake here, but it is rolling backwards. So even that isn't a very good sign. Like I pushed it in as hard as it would go, but we're not getting enough braking on that rear wheel to stop the vehicle. So let's see how this performs. Okay, so we're on the roller there. You know what, it's actually, that was doing great. So that's a pass for that test, because what it's done is it's allowed the rear wheel to rotate to give this the drive that it needs to move forward. Obviously then once you have all four wheels on the roller, it doesn't go anywhere, but that is a pass for front wheel drive and a pass for rear wheel drive. So it's pretty impressive stuff here from the Tucson. Before I engage any of these terrain modes, let's leave it in eco mode, given it's done so well so far. So we'll see how we go here, and then I'll shift it up and move through some of those other drive modes to see how it performs. Tucson is the dark horse here. It's sort of progressed really quickly up until that point. Now traction control is just figuring out what it wants to do. All right, that's about it for eco mode. So I'm going to go back now and we'll engage one of these terrain modes. So you've got normal drive modes, but then you have these off-road modes. You press that and then it allows you to flick between them. So I guess we'll go mud to start with and see what happens there. And then you'll notice as well, I've got the screen up there with where drive is going, whether it's to the front or rear axles. I'm having to put a lot more throttle in right now. I'm almost flat to the board, but it does feel like it's progressing a little further there. Okay, I'm pinned to the board now. It's sort of nudging forward bit by bit, and you can see it's sending full power to both the front and rear axles. It's just not getting enough drive there. It's sort of really just sitting at a low RPM and not... Oh, here we go. Go, 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 go. Go, go, go. It's getting further and further. All right, I was just staying flat to the board here to see if it eventually gets drive. It seems to be figuring itself out and then nudging it forward. Go, 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 go. All right. Oh, so close. Come on. So close. Okay, I reckon we're going to get this. Yes, 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 yes. Go, 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 go. Yes. Look at that. Tucson for the win. That is unreal. Took a bit of faffing around there, but it got up there, which I'm genuinely impressed by. I didn't think, you know, a hybrid with this configuration that's really just tuned for economy would get up there so efficiently. So there you go. Tucson scored all points on each of these tests. Very impressive. So Jaecoo J7 next. It's interesting, they marketed this car as quite sort of off-road capable when they launched it. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes here. It has a dual clutch, which in the past hasn't been great for these all-wheel drive vehicles, especially when they're on sort of incline. So we'll see what happens. Start off with our door flex test. Little touch down there. I can already hear these seals moving around a fair bit as well. So, all right, here we go. Nice. Opens and closes very easily there, which is good. Oh, it's switched itself off because I've opened the door. How good is technology? Okay, back in drive. Get off that. Perfect. So it's a pass for our flex test. Let's head over to the rollers. Okay, let's see how we go. I'll start off just in normal mode, and it's got some off-road modes, so we can try those if we don't have any success here. Front wheel drive test. Okay, so that is front wheel off the rollers, rear wheel is on the rollers. Here we go. Push onto the throttle. Harder, harder. No luck there. I'm going to try a different drive mode there, just to see if we have any success in another drive mode. So we've got an off-road mode.
Sport mode. Sand mode. Off-road mode.
Which gets announced as you drive, so let's see if that makes any difference at all. Okay, bring that front wheel off the roller, which is about there. Okay, here we go. Doesn't make a lick of difference. That's a shame. So that is a fail there for the front wheel drive test. There's probably no point even trying the rear wheel drive test, but we'll give it a crack anyway, just to see what happens. But it doesn't bode well for its off-road abilities, so we'll get the front wheels onto the roller. Okay, and here we go. No, it just caught the concrete on the edge there. So that's a fail for front wheel drive and rear wheel drive, which is disappointing. We'll see what it's like when we get to our gradients. Okay, so we'll try normal mode first, and then I'll get through the off-road modes and see how we go. I can already feel this dual clutch is going to be a pain. That is flat to the board. Okay, gearbox overheat. Now so we'll go back, try off-road mode. See if that makes any difference. Okay.
Mud mode. Sand mode. Off-road mode.
I just love that it announces everything. Okay, here we go. Off-road mode. Again, constant throttle, about 10 k's an hour into it. And it's flat to the board. Gearbox overheat again. What should we try now? Let me just try switching traction control off with off-road mode running. See if that makes any difference at all. So off-road ESC off. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, a little bit of spool there from the turbo. That is now flat to the board. Gearbox overheat again, and it's just released. So, yeah, okay. It didn't really do that well. So we basically had pass on the door rigidity test, a fail on our rollers, a fail here on the hill as well. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be taking this thing off-road despite all the marketing that suggests that it can go off-road. Look, I'm not going to bother with the other drive modes simply because it's coming up with a gearbox overheat warning, so I don't want to kill the car, and the other drive modes are probably just going to do the exact same thing. Okay, so Kia Sportage, this is the facelift of this car. Got the same drivetrain as the Tucson that we have here, so the petrol hybrid setup with a proper driveline down the centre. So we'll see how it goes. First up, let's check the strength of this chassis. Get that set of tyres in the air. Just around about there somewhere. Okie dokie. Nice. That all feels good. Jump over to the rollers. Put it in drive first. Okay. Now front wheels first, so we'll get those clear of the rollers and we will give this a shot. It's currently in eco mode, but this has a stack of different drive modes that we have access to. So I'll start going through those if it does get stuck. So roll onto the throttle. That's hooking up pretty much straight away there. So you can see that front right wheel has just pulled the vehicle entirely up that, which is good. All right, we'll go back, give this another crack, this time with the rear wheel doing all the hard work. You know what's interesting? These cars, not that long ago, a lot of them had a button to lock like a center clutch pack. That's all gone now. They're relying mainly on traction control to do all the heavy lifting. So, you know, just a fun observation. So, alrighty, there it is. We've got front wheels. My foot is buried into the brake there, but it's not stopping us. So I'm going to just try that again, come onto it one more time. It's interesting, even though the foot is buried on the brake, it's not sending enough braking power to that rear right to stop it from moving. So you have to be a bit quicker on the brake here. Just slow it down and touch. Okay, there it is there. But it's still not holding it. My foot is like into the firewall there, so I'll just try accelerating gradually and we'll see how we go. That is working though. We've got the rear wheel there doing all the heavy lifting, and then we've got all 4 on the roller there. So that's a pass. Just the braking effort required there when we have only one wheel that has a solid planting is pretty poor. So it's a pass there for the front wheel test, the rear wheel test, and also the door test as well. So let's go to the gradients. It's a positive sign so far. Okay, so you've actually got buttons here on the steering wheel. One is your normal sort of drive modes, but the terrain modes allow you to move between these separate off-road modes. So I'll leave it in just eco for the moment. We'll see how we go. And if that has no success, we'll move on to the next drive modes. And I've also got the terrain monitor there as well, so you can see where it's sending torque, whether it's to the front or the rear axle. Okay, so about 10 k's an hour, gradual throttle, 3. All right. Oh, go, 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 go. That is flat to the board. Okay, no success there in eco. I'm going to try one of the four-wheel drive modes. Four-wheel drive mode, sorry. The terrain modes. I know this is not a four-wheel drive, just a force of habit. So I'll stick it in, probably in mud. We'll see how we go there. All right, so again, 10 k's an hour, constant throttle. Here we go. Okay, it is pinned to the board now. Making a little bit of progress there. Let's see what it does. A bit of steering input. No, I can hear it doing stuff, but it's just not making any progress up the hill here. We're basically just stationary here. So we'll go back down. I'll try turning traction control off just to see if that gives us any more ability. Actually, no, I'll try one of the other four drive modes. Let's try sand. We'll just see if that makes any difference. Okay, 10 k's an hour. Oh, it's not even getting us to the first one here. Oh, it's getting us a little bit further there. All right, it's flat to the board now. Go! Nuts. Not liking that either. No, all right. Last mode we'll try before I try turning traction control off is, what else do we have there? Snow. Give that a shot. Alrighty, here we go. Mike likes that even less. It sort of kills motion nice and early, but it then starts progressing a little bit more there. So I've now got that pinned to the board one more time. Oh, a little bit of progress there. It's just not letting us move any further than that, so no, nothing. All right, so what we'll try now is just back into mud, which seemed to be the most progressive mode there, and I'll turn traction control off and just see if that makes any difference. All right, that's traction off. Let's see how that goes. Oh, that's not really helping us much there. I do wonder with these terrain modes whether it is actually sort of still leaving traction control on even when it is switched off, because I can hear it doing stuff in the background. So no luck there. So we'll have a look at what our judges say about how far it made it up, but yeah, I don't know, it just didn't really have that progress, and I wonder whether that is something to do with the hybrid system that's affecting its ability to get up there. But you know, no matter what I tried there, it just wasn't keen to get any further, which is disappointing because it felt good to start with, but then it just really slowed down and didn't want to work. So verdict is in, only made it to cone 1, unfortunately, for the Kia Sportage. So CX-5, let's see how this goes. This has a proper drive line down the center here. Just under 200mm ground clearance, which is pretty decent. Okay, no fancy hybrid systems or anything like that. It's really struggling to get over literally the tiny part of this. Come on. All right, there it is, around there somewhere. Okay, good. That feels nice and solid. We'll head over to the rollers. CX-5 actually has an off-road mode, so I'll try that in just a second if we have any dramas here at all with our front wheel drive test. So there it is there. Okay, I'm going to roll onto the throttle. Oh, it's struggling. Yeah, it's really struggling. It's starting to get there. All right, got there in the end, but really was a bit of a struggle. It rolled back quite a bit before it engaged. So that's a pass. Let's go back and try the rear wheels now. Okie dokie, line this up. Okay, now the brake's working, which is good. Some of the SUVs we've been testing here, once we get the 3 wheels on the rollers, they won't hold the vehicle in place, but this is working, which is good. I'll roll into that throttle. No, we're basically catching on the bits either side. So that's a no. I'm going to try put it into its off-road mode just to see if that makes any difference. It should tell the car then that we need traction on that rear. So I'll put that down into off-road. Okay, let's engage. Give that one more shot. Okay, front wheels on the rollers. Hold that there, and then onto the throttle. No, it's letting it rev up, which is interesting, but it's not giving us the drive that we need on the rear axle. So it's a pass for the front wheel and a fail for the rear wheel. Now we will try our hill in normal mode first, just to see how it goes, and then we can progress up through the other modes. So constant throttle, about 10 k's an hour. Oh, that is so bad. Didn't even make it to the first cone. All right, let's just assume that is just normal mode being funny. So I'm going to put this into off-road mode now. Let's see what happens there. It actually lifts the revs up a little bit, which is interesting. Okay. Oh, that's feeling better. This is interesting. This is a slightly more old school system, but it's letting the wheels spin up. Wow, have a look at this. Just going to stay in that. Oh, nice. Go, don't fail me now. I'm just buried on the throttle here and we're slowing down. Come on, come on. Go a little bit more. Yes. Wow, there you go. That off-road mode is unbelievably good. Didn't really do much on the rollers over there for getting traction on the rear wheels, but right there, it made all the difference. It really helped this climb up and scurry up the hill without any dramas. So yeah, that is unreal. It just shows you good traction control system coupled with a proper, decent all-wheel drive system, and you're off to the races like that. So that is unreal. Good job, Mazda. Now CX-60, 6-cylinder, so meaty old engine, biggest of the group here. Also has the biggest wheelbase as well, so we'll see how that affects things. This uses Mazda's in-house 8-speed automatic transmission that I'm not a huge fan of, so let's see how it all fares. So flex test first, also fairly low ground clearance too, so you can hear it sort of bottoming out there a little bit. Okay, it's going to be a bit tricky to actually get this into a flex condition, but that's about it there. Yep, that closes fine, so that's all good. We'll work our way over to the rollers. There is an off-road mode available here if it fails our front wheel test. So there's the front active, roll onto the throttle. Oh, that's definitely a fail. Try that with off-road mode running. Yeah, it just did not hook up there at all. Okay, so I'll pop that down into off-road mode. Okay, that is on. We'll give the front one more shot, or the front one more shot. I keep forgetting it's one-wheel drive. Okay, that's it there. So roll onto the throttle. No. No. Yeah, that's a definite no. That's disappointing. I mean, it's just showing you that, well, it is actually an interesting point as well that I'll make now, that this platform, Mazda inherently designed as rear-wheel drive first, front axle second, so perhaps it's going to work better here as rear, because this is the exception to the rule with the rest of the cars that we have here. So we'll try the rears now, or the rear, and we'll just see if that makes any difference. Okay, so we've got the front on the roller there. Okay, brakes holding us, roll onto the throttle. See, it's interesting. It's actually making a bit more progress here with the rear than it was previously, but still not. Well, there we go. Now all 4 on rollers. So this one here is a bit of a reverse test. So it's basically a fail for the front, but a pass for the rear, whereas most of them are a pass for the front and a fail for the rear. So there you go. So as the only sort of rear drive car here, let's see how this goes. So I'm going to start off just in normal mode, and then I'll migrate to off-road mode if we don't have any success. All right. It's slowly getting there here in normal mode. No luck there. All right, come back. And I'll switch us into off-road mode. Let's see how that goes. Okay, we are in off-road mode now. Let's give that another shot. Okay, so climb again, constant throttle. Oh, I feel it grabbing, Go, go, go. Stay in that. See, it's allowing it to rev up. Look at that. Oh, that is unreal. It's allowing it to rev up, and when it revs up, it just climbs. Like, it is remarkable how good just a decent traction control system will help you out here. And I wonder also whether the fact that this has that rear bias is helping it climb up there, but certainly the difference there between normal and off-road mode is huge. It definitely tailors it to allowing it to have more wheel slip and to climb, even on road tyres. That is a pretty impressive effort. So yeah, good job with for Mazda. Outlander time. So just something worth pointing out, this is a pre-production car. This has just been updated, and this is a pre-production car. So some of the stuff you see here won't be production spec, but we're told the drivetrain and stuff is. So this is the naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. It's not the plug-in hybrid. So we'll see how it goes with our first test here. Reasonable ground clearance though, just over 200 mils. So pretty decent for this segment. Get to kick up a wheel just there. Alrighty, let's see what that rigidity is like. Yep, very good. Typically Mitsubishi has their off-road stuff pretty well honed, so quietly confident this should actually do pretty well. This is predominantly a front-wheel drive car that activates the rear axle as required, so let's see how it fares here. Alrighty, so roll onto that, throttle. Nope. Not a scary of that there. So there are a few drive modes here, so I'm just going to try flicking it into one of these other drive modes. We've got tarmac, gravel, snow, mud. I'll try gravel just because it kind of might simulate a gravel surface. Let's see what that feels like. Okie dokie, here we go. Roll onto that. Doing stuff, but yeah, there we go. Nice. Got there in the end, it just needed to figure itself out, but gravel mode for the win there for that front traction scenario. I'll keep it in gravel mode to see what it does with just one rear wheel with traction. Okay, there it is there. Ugh, it's not holding us, my foot is flat on the brake there. All right, here we go. Oh, I think we're getting somewhere. No bingo. Give that one more shot. Might try a different drive mode here. Let's try mud maybe, see how that works. Okay, stop it there. No, not liking it at all. No, nothing. All right, so that's a pass for front, but a fail for rear. So I'm going to just start in normal mode. I've also got the super all-wheel control active there in front of us. We'll see if that gives us anything interesting as we go. And then if normal mode doesn't work, I'll make my way through the other settings. Yeah, that is definitely a not going to work mode. Okay, so let's try gravel first, because that's technically what this is. It's always hard to pick which drive mode is suitable for which scenario. Okay. That's the tow bar. Got my foot stuck in that. Not getting anywhere though, so we're gonna have to back down. Ooh, it's the worst noise. Right. Alrighty, so I'll just advance forward to one of the other drive modes. Try, what do we got there? Snow. Give that a shot. See how that fares. Yeah, same sort of thing. It's not loving that. Got my foot right through the firewall there. Not getting us anywhere. All right, there's one last drive mode we can try, and then we'll try switching traction control off as well. Okie dokie. So last drive mode is mud. We'll see if that helps us at all. Sharpens the throttle right up there. That was interesting. Okay, giving us a bit more wheel slip. What? It's getting us a little bit further. Have a look at that. Oh, come on, come on. I think we're going to make this. That is unreal. This drive mode has transformed the car. Holy crap, that is so cool. Yeah, this stuff it really blows me away to think that a car that is on road tires can make it up there with just twisting this thing. It just changes the drive mode and all of a sudden it's capable of making it up there. So yeah, look, Mitsubishi, like I said, traditionally they've had all-wheel drive systems in their cars that are really rated to off-road driving, and we found that certainly with previous generation of Triton that it could really go anywhere, especially here when we did our big Ute mega tests. It just went anywhere and it was very capable of doing things, and it seems they've followed on that tradition here with Outlander. It's a bit weird that it didn't work over on the rollers for the rear drive mode. I did try all of those settings there, but didn't seem to make much of a difference. So yeah, not sure what the go is with that, but just shows you that selecting the right mode for these things gets it through. Okay, X-Trail is interesting because it uses two electric motors, one on the front axle, one on the rear axle, and a 3-cylinder engine. So there is no drive line down the center there. So it'll be interesting to see how this fares. Not a huge amount of ground clearance either, under 190 mils. So door flex, and then we'll move on to the other stuff. Okay, there it is there. Yeah, it's catching a little bit there. I can still close the door, but I can feel that it's, sorry, I'll stop that annoying beeping. Yeah, I can feel that it's catching. Yeah, you can feel it rubbing on the way in there. So yeah, that's a little bit disappointing. It's sort of still a pass, the door closes, but I don't know, maybe we deduct a point or two there because it is actually catching and the others weren't. So yeah. Now, I don't know how this is going to fare, having two electric motors. Basically, I mean, for the purposes of traction, this is effectively just an electric vehicle. So, alrighty, let's see how it goes just in the normal drive mode here. Roll on to that. Whoop. Just had a system fault come up here. Yeah, that's not good. Definitely a fail as well. So I'm going to come out of that. Okay, that system fault is still there. I'm just going to try the rear now to see if that does anything. And we might just try restarting the car as well, just to clear that fault. Okay. Okay, fault seems to have disappeared. It starts raining out there. Okay, I'm going to roll onto the throttle now. It's sort of creeping a little bit there, but it's not getting us what we need. Oh, I can feel it doing stuff. It's just not getting us what we need. So let me just try a different drive mode there. Let's see if that makes any difference for us. All right, what do we got here? We have Eco. No, don't need that. Don't need that. Let's try off-road. Let's see how that works for the rear drive. Okay, on that roller, roll onto the throttle. You know what? It's sort of working. Yeah, it's sort of working there in off-road. I'm just going to try front wheel one more time here in off-road. Give that one more crack. Okay, there it is there, and roll into the throttle. There we go, that's actually working. All right, so yeah, again, I don't know what that system fault was, but you know, eventually it passed in front and rear. So sort of a pass, but again, we're going to deduct a couple of points there because it came up with warnings. So yeah, we'll kick off in normal mode, see how we go, and then I'll work my way through the drive modes. Normal mode doesn't even make it to the first cone. Okay, so let's try off-road mode. That is active. Let's see how that performs compared to normal mode. Yeah, look, it's pulsing it up here gradually. I've got my foot flat on the board there. That's the kick down. I just heard the internal combustion engine come on there to give this a little added pep, but we're not getting any further than this. It's sort of flaring up a little bit and giving it a bit more motion. Oh, hang on, a tiny bit there, but no luck. All right, let me try one of these other drive modes. We have another off-road focused drive mode available to us. So what do we got here? We got snow mode. We'll give that a shot, and then I'll go back to off-road with traction control off and see if that makes any difference. Oh, snow mode is positively not very good, so won't bother with that. I'll stick it in off-road mode and try turning traction control off. See if that makes any difference. As well as ESP off. Okay, here we go. So off-road, ESP off. Let's see if that makes any difference for us. I can still feel it biting, which is interesting. Sort of doing a similar thing to the BYD Shark, and where it just sort of flares up and it doesn't have a great deal of control over its traction. Like, it is just pulsing forward bit by bit. Oh, hold on, I've got something there. Oh, come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, it's so close. No, it just sounds like a lion growling. We'll see with our judges how far it got. Did that make it up to the third? Okay, so between second and third. So, all right, well, there you go. That is the Nissan X-Trail e-Power. Close but no cigar. Almost got there, but just needed a little more helping of, I don't know, just better traction or something. But yeah, it was definitely working for it. Now, this car you may not have heard of before. It's the KGM Torres. Company's changed its name quite a few times recently, but the bones of it is that SsangYong, or former SsangYong, used to actually build a fair bit of off-road capable stuff. So see what this is like. This has a 4-wheel drive badge on it, so we'll see how that goes. Get it up here for our door slam test. All right, got some flex on that. Oh, that's not good. Yeah. That's like a hard hit to the point where it's actually not closing the door. So that is a fail on the door slam test for body rigidity. This does have an all-wheel drive lock button, so what I'll try and do is just first try it without that active, see how that goes, and if we don't have any luck, then I'll switch it on. All right, rolling onto the throttle. Yeah, okay, so whoa, that is a fail there. So I'll just back this up. I'll switch the all-wheel drive lock on. I'll give that one more shot. So basically just pull down here, all-wheel drive lock. All right, that is on. Give that one more crack. Okay, here we go. Makes literally no difference at all. That's disappointing. All right, so that's a fail for front. Let's just try rear now as well. We'll see if that does anything. Be surprised if it did, but anyway, all right, here we go. Okay, that's fronts on the rollers. Here we go, roll onto the throttle. No. Nope. Yeah, that is a fail for both front and rear. Not going good so far, let me tell you. So first up, what I'll do here is try going without the all-wheel drive lock running. I'll just see if there's a miracle there that helps it get up. Oh, it's actually not doing too terribly. Sort of. That's as far as that'll go. It is flashing an engine light there. I don't know what that is about. It was flashing in unison with the traction control. So I'll just try to put the all-wheel drive lock button on. We'll just give that a shot. And if none of that works, I might try power cycling it as the rain starts. Okay, so all-wheel drive lock is active. Give that one more crack. Here we go. Funny, the all-wheel drive lock is actually making it do way worse than it was when it was off. All right, I'm going to try power cycling it just to see if that engine light flashing thing goes away. Give that a shot. All right. Okay, so that's power cycled. Engine light is still flashing. So anyway, I think there was a fail regardless of any of that. But I also don't want to break the car any more than it already is if that's flashing. So that is a pretty disappointing result for the Torres. I'm excited for this. The Subaru Forester was the reigning champ of our last test. It was kind of a go anywhere thing. It's a hybrid. It was a hybrid for a little bit, and it was the worst hybrid I've ever tested. This, though, is completely different. Still got a boxer engine, driveline that runs down the center, electric motors. So it is like a proper setup. So we'll see whether it still retains its off-road ability. 220 mil of ground clearance. So it's the most off-road capable here in terms of ground clearance. We'll kick that rear wheel up, see what the body strength is like. Perfect, no dramas there. Let's head over to the rollers. There's a few different X modes here for us to choose from, then a couple of drive modes as well. So I'll just keep it in normal mode just for the moment. See how it goes on the front test first. Okay, that's it there. Roll onto the throttle. Oh. Not good at all there for the front test. So I'm going to pop it into, let's put it in snow dirt for the X mode. I'll give that one more shot. Bring that up to the top. Okay, there it is there. Roll onto the throttle. Oh, that is terrible. That is not very good at all. Okay, try the next X mode, which is deep snow mud. Give that a crack. Okay, that is now on. Button up to the top. Okay, there it is there. Roll onto the throttle. That's better. That engaged straight away there. No dramas at all. So deep snow mud is the mode it needs to be in to achieve that. So we'll go back, give it another shot for the rear axle and see how that performs. Alrighty, let's line it up. Okay, there it is there, and roll into the throttle. That's not liking that. Nope, okay, let's just try different drive mode here. Okay, just try snow dirt, see if that makes any difference. Okay, that's on the roller. Roll into the throttle. No, nothing there. Last thing I'm going to try is just the sport mode. See if that makes any difference at all. I'm going to have normal active for that. Okay, sport is on. Okay, rolling to the throttle. No. Pretty disappointing that it's not even getting us to the point there where the rear tyres are pushing the vehicle forward. So, yeah, I don't know. Bit disappointed by this system. I was hoping it would be as good as the last one, but it seems the second they've tried to hybridize this, it has just complicated things a bit. So, pass for the front, even that was a bit of a stretch, and a fail for the rear. So, normal mode to begin with, and then I'll start playing with some of these X modes as required. Oh. Okay, that's terrible. All right, I'll try snow dirt. See how that goes. I didn't even make it anywhere near the first cone. What the hell? This is really average. What is going on here? Oh, that is terrible. All right, I'll stick it into deep snow mud, which is what worked before. Yeah, okay, all right, I'll give this a shot. See how this goes. Oh, come on, I mean, seriously. This was the champ last time, and it is really struggling now. All right, getting a little bit further here in deep snow mud. I'm now pinned to the board. Rotate that wheel a bit. There is just nada happening here. This is genuinely disappointing. All right, I guess we'll go back down, and what will I do now? I'll try switching traction control off, see if that makes any difference, but this is very, very average. All right, so switch that off. You see, I can't even switch that off when X mode is on, so I'll just try normal mode with vehicle dynamics control off. See if that makes any difference. Wow, okay, that is genuinely an epic fail. They've taken what was an excellent car off-road and ruined it by hybridizing it and just not focusing on what this was, you know, what was the previous strength of this car, which was off-road driving. They've just made it not good at all off-road. The fact that, you know, we got, what was it, the Tucson up here, the CX-5 up here. Tucson's hybridized as well. So anyway, that is massively disappointing there from Subaru with the new Forester. Now, we're in the RAV4 now, but complication, we've filmed this over 2 days because of the volume of cars that we have, and it has bucketed down overnight. So what we're going to do is continue on, but at the end, any cars that make it to the top and pass these tests, we're going to repeat them again to make sure that the wet weather hasn't caused any issues. It should be fine for the roller and the door test, but more for the hill. The hill's quite compact, so it shouldn't be an issue, but we'll do that at the end just in case. Okay, so RAV4 hybrid. This actually was in our last test as well. Didn't perform that well because it doesn't have a driveline that runs down the center. It just has an electric motor on the rear axle, and it just kept getting itself confused even in its trail mode. And you can see even right now it's struggling to get up here, so let's give this a little run up. Okay, which is back it up a touch. Around there somewhere is our flex, so let's see how that goes. Nice. No dramas there. And obviously, just as a reminder as well, RAV4 is about to get updated. So there's a brand new version of this car coming. There's obviously the last of the hybrid RAV4 in the Edge trim, which is the top spec. So I mentioned before, RAV4, this particular spec, has an electric motor on the rear axle and 2 electric motors on the front axle. So we'll see how it goes. It did struggle last time, but we didn't try it on the rollers previously. So see what it's like as a one-wheel drive first on the front axle, and then we'll try the others. We've got a few different drive modes here to pick from as well, so we'll see how they go. Throttle there. Not a good start. I would have thought at the very least this would have enough traction to get it past there. So I'll try trail mode, which is like the off-road mode. See if that makes any difference there in this front drive configuration. Okay, so there it is there. Roll onto the throttle. Gee, that is really not very good at all. I would have thought it would be at least able to get up there. So all right, let's try the rear drive configuration, see if that makes any difference. Given it has an electric motor on that rear axle, surely that would be enough for it to work its way through. All right, so we're on that. Here we go. Barely grabbing there at all. I might try sport mode as well, just to be on the safe side here. There's a roller there. Here we go. Look, it's working a little bit, but not enough. And we'll try sport mode just on the front drive configuration as well, just to be 100% sure. Okay, here we are. No. Okay, well, disappointing. All right, that is a fail for the front drive and the rear drive configuration for RAV4 Hybrid. Now, mentioned before, it is it's significantly wetter down here at the moment, so we'll see how we go. I've just left it in just the normal drive mode, and then we'll progress through to trail mode if it doesn't have any luck here. The hill itself is actually in reasonable condition. It's not even getting up to the first part of the hill, so let's try and get this into trail mode. Okay, that's trail mode active. Let's give that a shot. So, 10 k's an hour. Go, go, go. It is not liking that. It's doing pretty much exactly what it did the last time we tested this, where the tyres just spin up and you don't actually get anywhere. So as trail mode running, I'll try sport and trail mode. Doesn't seem to make much of a difference. I'll try turning traction control off and see if that makes any difference at all. Right, here we go, trail mode again. No, doesn't make any difference. So all right, that is a big old fail here for the RAV4. Pretty disappointing, given that, I don't know, this should be able to do this basic light off-roading stuff. And yes, it is wetter than it was before, but the other SUVs are able to get up here, and this just fails the same way that it did the first time we tested this, where there's just not enough calibration between the front and the rear axles for it to actually get up and do the things that it needs to do. Now, time to give the all-new Tiguan a shot. Last time we had this car in our comparison, it actually did pretty well. It was, I think it was the R line from memory, so it had this body kit and it was getting bashed about a little bit, but actually did a surprisingly good job. So this time around, 2-litre turbo, all-wheel drive, dual clutch, which I don't know how that'll go on the hill, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Fairly low ground clearance as well. So do our door flex test first. Okay, so probably just back a touch there. Forward a touch. No, now, beach, I want to give that one more shot. Okay. Around there somewhere. All right, let's have a look. Nice. No dramas there. Over to the rollers. Okay, so rollers. This is a more traditional all-wheel drive system, so front-wheel drive most of the time, and then can engage rear axle as required. So we'll get the front test done first. Pretty well-established SUV brand Volkswagen, so we'll see how this goes. Roll onto this. Okay. No, did not like that at all. Okay, so I didn't like that at all. So what we'll do this time, I'll put it into its off-road mode. We'll see if that makes any difference. So go into the mode, hit off-road. So look at what that says. Okay. So the all-wheel drive system engages much sooner and more frequently than with other profiles. So if that makes any difference for us. But given that it is predominantly front-wheel drive, I don't know why that wouldn't have engaged earlier. So here we go. That's holding. Roll to the throttle. That's better. Nice. It's engaged and we are away. So no dramas there at all. Excellent. Okay, let's give that another shot, but for the rear wheel. Line this rear wheel up. Around about there somewhere. Okay, here we go. Roll onto that. Oh, that's working. Wow, there you go. That is exactly how it needs to work. So obviously with all four wheels on the rollers, we're not going to go anywhere, but it actually sent drive to the only rear wheel with traction there. So that is really impressive. Shows you that off-road mode is able to cater for all those conditions. So that is a pass for front and rear drive as well. Alrighty, we're going to go straight into off-road mode. Okay, that is engaged. Let's see how we go. Oh, dual clutch having to kick back. Oh. Coming up with a couple of warnings there. The dual clutch was being funny just before as well, so I'll just come back and have another crack at that. Yeah, it was kind of kicking back a gear and then sort of going again, so give that one more shot and just see how it goes. No, it's just sort of kicking back through gears and being quite aggressive, but not actually getting any progress forward. So one other thing I might try here is just without four-wheel drive mode. I'll actually see if I can switch traction control off, see if that helps at all. Okay, so ESC off. Right, give that a shot, see if that makes any difference there. Yeah, this dual clutch is just constantly just shunting us on and off. It doesn't feel very comfortable at all. So I think that, yeah, dual clutches just for off-road stuff just do not work. So you can see there over on the rollers, it worked well. It was able to apportion torque and do what it needed to do. But in situations like this where it needs to keep having nibbles at it, it kind of has to increase revs and engage a gear. And each time it does that, it has that clunking feeling, and it really is not the best thing in the world. So obviously it doesn't really work well here in this light off-road setting. So yeah, a little bit disappointing, but I guess it is what it is. Okay, moving on to Skoda Karoq. So this is the, obviously, all-wheel drive version. Dual clutch, 2-litre turbocharged petrol. So similar to other Volkswagen Group products, predominantly front-wheel drive, engages rear axle as required. It's got an off-road mode as well. So let's see how we go here with the door flex test first. This is on a shorter wheelbase here and doesn't have a huge amount of ground clearance. So let's see how that sort of fares once we get it up. Nice, no problems there. This over the edge and we'll head over to the rollers. Okay, roller time. So we've got a few drive modes, including an off-road mode. So we'll try it first just without any of that engaged and see how we go. All right, that'll do us there. Roll onto the throttle. Yeah, I can feel that biting. This is just in normal mode as well. Very nice. So it did exactly what you would expect a front-wheel drive car to do, which is engage the front axle and move forward. So basically there is a one-wheel drive, front-wheel drive car. It did what it should do. So let's see if it can repeat that feat with the rear wheel active. Alrighty, so line this up. Okie dokie, there we are there. Roll onto that. Feel it doing stuff. Wow, that's cool. There you go. That is amazing. So this is the only car so far that has actually managed to get itself up the entire thing even when it had all four wheels on the rollers. That is remarkable. Surely that deserves bonus points. That is amazing. That's just in normal mode. Far out. That is so impressive. So cool. Okie dokie. Let's pop this straight into off-road mode. That is engaged, and we will see how we go. Alrighty. So there it is there. Lean onto the throttle. Keep it constant. Oh, what a great shame. It showed promise earlier on the rollers, and then the dual clutch is doing dual clutch things here, so not even getting past this first little bit. Flat to the board there, and it's not getting anywhere. That's disappointing. All right, what do we try? Because I'll pop it back into normal mode, given that's what we did the rollers with. Okay, so that is normal mode. Give that a shot. No bingo, it's this dual clutch doing dual clutch thing. So you can see there with our tacho, it basically climbs, it tries to think about getting the next gear, it drops and then climbs again, and every time it flares up when it's engaging that clutch, it's basically just flaring and just spinning up. So unfortunately, it's just not helping it actually get anywhere here, which is disappointing because it showed some real promise there on the rollers, but yeah, here it's just sort of digging holes. It's really not getting anywhere. So yeah, as a reminder, we've sort of in between these runs, we've been making sure that the cars that got up earlier when it wasn't as wet are still able to get up, and they're all getting over that perfectly fine. So just shows you that the dual clutch here really is slowing down the progress of some of these cars. So Haval H6, this is a fascinating one because it's the plug-in hybrid. So you've got internal combustion engine, 2 electric motors, but no driveline down the middle. Instead, you've got a big battery beneath there. So these have struggled in the past when you're just trying to run everything through electric motors. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. Ground clearance also isn't amazing either. So I'll do a door flex test. Bring this up here. Alrighty, that is a pass for the door flex. We head over to the rollers. I've got a number of drive modes here to pick from, so we'll start off with normal and see how that goes for the front wheel test, and then we'll work our way through the others and see if we can. Okie dokie. So roll onto the throttle. Struggling there, it's sort of thinking about it. We got there in the end. Yeah, we got there in the end. All right. Okay, so the harder test, given this has an electric motor on the rear axle, it should be fine, but let's see what happens. Okay, we'll hold it there. Whoop, I've got my foot flat on the brake, rolling backwards, so it's not liking that at all. Okay, so what we'll do, come back, I'll change the drive mode. There is an all-wheel drive mode, which I believe sort of then makes this into an all-wheel drive, so we'll give that a crack. Right, so I've engaged that, all-wheel drive mode is on, let's give that a shot. Let's see if that makes any difference. Well, it's not holding it there. I'll get onto the throttle. Same thing again, it appears. Oh no. We're getting a little bit of forward progress there, but it's not confidently retaining that. Yeah, it's not confidently retaining that at all. It's sort of just coming onto that and then falling off. One other thing I might try, it does have an off-road mode, so I'll give that a crack now and see if that makes any difference. So it's got a number of off-road modes, but we'll pick maybe mud. Just see how that goes. See if it's more willing to give this traction on the rear. Yeah, it's sort of pulsing it forward, but it's not confidently doing it. So it's passed for front wheel drive, but fail there for rear. Now, given all the modes we have here. Let's start off in mud and then we'll work our way through some of the other modes and see how it all goes. So here we go. Let's see what happens. This has a 2-speed hybrid transmission, so we'll see how well that's going to work. Not really sort of getting anywhere there in mud mode, so we'll come back and we'll try maybe all-wheel drive mode, see if that makes any difference. Okay, that's engaged. That's getting us a little further. Oh. Yeah, baby, have a look at this. What a beast. It has like almost the lowest ground clearance and it just walked up there. So mud mode was no good, but all-wheel drive, it just sent it. Wow. On road tyres as well, in the wet. I think. There you go, big tick to Haval there with the H6 GT. That is full points for our gradient. Just shows you, again, a good traction control system works well because this has everything working against it. Sort of sportier road-oriented road tyres. You've got a plug-in hybrid drivetrain with electric motors that flares up quite significantly, but it shows you that once it's well sorted, it just gets up there. And the difference between that was mud and all-wheel drive mode. So picking the right mode will take you to your light off-road destination. So big thumbs up there, good job. So time for another electric car. This time it is the ID.5 GTX. So it is the sportier all-wheel drive electric car from Volkswagen. Really low ground clearance, so just under 170 mils. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. But 2 electric motors, one on the front axle and one on the rear axle. Little dig just in there. Dig just there as well. All right, so we're gonna have to a bit more of a run up at that. Okay, here we go. There it is there. All right, door test. Nice, that all feels good. Run over to the rollers now. Alrighty, so there are a few different drive modes here, but we'll just try comfort mode to begin with and see how well this traction control system works. All right, there it is there. We'll roll onto that. It's not liking that at all. So I'll come back. I'll try one of these other drive modes. There is like an off-road style mode here. I'll give that a shot. All right, so what's it called? Traction. Let's have a look at the description. The driving profile traction offers increased comfort and safety, especially on slippery roads or roads with varying traction. That is us. Traction control enables harmonious starts and acceleration at all speeds without the wheels spinning. All right, well, pretty much what it says that I need it to do. So let's just see how that goes. Okay. Okie dokie. Roll onto that. No bingo. That is just rolling backwards. All right, that's a bit disappointing. So we'll try that again this time for the rear motor. See how that works. So I'll leave it in traction mode. Actually, you know, I'll try sport mode as well, just so we can say we've tried everything there for the front motor. Okay, all right, there's sport mode. Yeah, doesn't seem to be making much of a difference. So sport mode, no good either. So, all right, we'll come back. We'll try the rear motor. See how well that works. Okay, so I'll put that back into traction mode. Okie dokie. So bring that on here. Okay, there it is there. All right, that looks like it's working. Excellent. So that is a pass. It was able to use the rear motor there to drive the vehicle forward up until we got onto the rollers with all fours. So it's a fail for the front motor and a pass for the rear motor for ID.5. Okay, let's kick this off in traction mode. See how this fares. All right. And there is not a lot of clearance here. It sort of moved a little bit there. That wasn't too bad. Oh, there really isn't a great deal of traction there because it's dug a little hole. So I'm just going to come around that a little bit. All right, here we go. It's just basically digging itself a hole. We're not going to be getting very far there at all. Might try another drive mode here just to see if that makes any difference. But yeah, clearance is a real big issue here for us at the moment. Okay, so I just got Igor to fill that in a little bit because the car was just falling into the hole entirely and sort of not really getting anywhere. So I'll try it one last time here. I just don't feel that it's got the goods here to get us up. So yeah, I mean, it's not even getting any further than that. So yeah, unfortunately, this is something I haven't really sorted out yet with electric cars. They just can't get the control of this much torque managed. And I don't know why. It's really weird. Like, you've got so much digital control over this, but they just cannot stop the wheels from flaring up, which is what causes it to sort of lose control there. So we'll try comfort. That'll make much of a difference. See, it gets a little bit further, it flares up, but then it all just sort of, stops working. So yeah, so we got to the first cone, but just didn't get any further than that. Yeah, just wish they could figure out this traction control stuff and just make it a little bit better. One last thing I'll try is just the ESC in sport mode to give us just a bit more flexibility there. See if that makes any difference. No, none at all. That's just beaching it entirely. So, all right, I'm going to stop now. There's no point trying anymore. Yeah, as a reminder, we've sort of in between these runs, we've been making sure that the cars that got up earlier when it wasn't as wet are still able to get up, and they're all getting over that perfectly fine.
Okay, we're all done. Before I run you through the results, I need to give a massive thank you to the video guys, social guys, and the other editorial team that we had here helping with this, because it is so cold. We're actually going to cancel this because it was going to be so cold and wet. We didn't realize it was going to be this bad. It is absolutely freezing out here. So anyway, thank you guys. Now, the results. So the Subaru Forester has been uncrowned or decrowned. I've got the results up on the screen there. I want to run you through some of the highlights and just some of the interesting tidbits. So the Forester, that went from being one of the most capable off-road mid-size SUVs to now being one of the least capable. And I just don't know how Subaru missed that brief. People bought that car because it was capable off-road, and now they've kind of ruined it by adding a hybrid system that has made it not all that good off-road. So hopefully that's something they could fix as part of a future update, but it is pretty disappointing to see that they have dropped the ball on the new Forester. Hyundai Tucson. It absolutely killed it on each of our tests. It just showed that you don't need to have a super complex system. It is a hybrid at the end of the day, and it managed to achieve some pretty impressive things and do the type of off-roading that most people are going to do before they start getting a bit serious. And that's part of the reason we stuck with factory tyres for these cars and didn't go down the path of the same control tyre on each car, because most of the people that buy these cars do not change their tyres. If they are just doing basic stuff like this, you don't change your tyres. If you're going to do something more serious, a lot of people will change their tyres, but it's a mid-size SUV that's going to encounter terrain like this only rarely. So we wanted to just stick with factory tyres, then leave it up to the traction control systems and the way that the vehicles were engineered to allow them to then either climb or pass or fail our particular tests. So the other interesting things as well, EVs are still not there. You saw that with the EV5 and the ID.5 as well, that it just struggled really with managing traction control. EVs just flare up so quickly, and the end result is that you get uncontrolled wheel spin, and they really can't manage stuff like ascents in muddy conditions or even gravelly conditions, as well as cars with internal combustion engines. So hopefully that's something they can work on. Ultimately, it's all just software and motor control because it is all digital. And it was cool also to see that it wasn't just the Tucson that made it up. CX-60, CX-5, both Mazda family cars, and the Haval H6 GT. That was pretty impressive too. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this test. Let us know which other vehicles you want us to test in similar conditions to this. We're always keen to find out. Do you want us to do the expensive cars in this segment? Stuff like the Audis and the Mercedes-Benz products that are similar size? Let me know in the comments section. And also let us know if we stuffed anything up. Did we screw anything up major? Is there anything else you think we should do differently for next time? We're always keen for your feedback. But until next time, thank you for watching. Make sure you have subscribed and stay warm.